Why did the world's most famous film composer order 100 computer servers for one movie? In 2008, Hans Zimmer's studio started work on The Dark Knight, and 100 machines arrived from Dell. And the software on them wasn't Giga Studio, it wasn't Contact. In fact, it wasn't anything you can buy. It was a sampler written from scratch in C++ by a magazine journalist over Christmas. I'm a music producer and a software engineer. I write software and firmware for synthesizer manufacturers, and I teach audio programming in London. In the 90s, Zimmer's sampler of choice was the Roland S760. Each one was a single rack unit, and playing back his sampled orchestra took more than 30 of them. Then came Giga Studio. This was the first sampler to stream from disk instead of RAM, and it ran on PCs. In 2002, Hans Zimmer told Sound on Sound that he was quite modest compared to other people in the studio with 10 Giga Studio machines, and then he admitted that there were another 10 at his house. By 2007, the facility was running 14 at once, held together by a custom network MIDI system because nothing on the market could address that many ports. And when two entire studios had to ship to England for Batman Begins, his tech director wrote his own Windows MIDI driver and crossed his fingers. Now that tech director was Mark Wherry, and he was a journalist at Sound on Sound. He interviewed Zimmer in 2002 and asked him to write the foreword to a Cubase book. Zimmer invited him to LA instead, and the book never got finished, and the job title became Director of Music Technology. At the end of 2006, starting Pirates of the Caribbean 3, Hans Zimmer wanted to use the studio's own orchestral library, which was recorded 16 microphones wide, but Giga Studio was 32-bit and single core. Loading just the short violins needed an absurdly expensive machine, and it still couldn't hold them, and there was no 64-bit multi-core sampler that existed anywhere. So Wherry, who still says he isn't really a programmer, wrote one. Then came The Dark Knight and the 100 servers. Wherry built his own audio over Ethernet system to connect them because every sampler voice runs in quad, 4 channels per note. By 2012, each writing rig was Cubase plus 14 Dell servers, dual processors, and then up to 64 gigs of RAM each streaming over the network into mix machines and then on into Pro Tools over MADI. So that's 160 inputs per rig, and they upgraded because it wasn't enough. The library grew eventually to 33 microphone positions. If you've seen my last few videos, you know how bad Windows timing was at the time. So how does all this run on Windows? It was because they never let Windows near the timing. Giga Studio bypassed the consumer audio stack with his own kernel level driver, which is why each copy needed a whole PC. Where he went further, he actually wrote a custom kernel MIDI driver and moved the audio onto Ethernet. So the moment a note becomes sound, it's a buffered stream clocked by hardware, not events at the mercy of the scheduler. So really, it was a stripped down box running his own drivers. It was an appliance that just happened to boot Windows. So the sampler behind Pirates, the Dark Knight trilogy, Inception, and Interstellar actually has no name. It's never been named, never been sold, and it's never been marketed because it has one customer. Now the synths are replaceable, the stack is not. It's a private library, a private sampler, a private network protocol, and a private control surface. Hans Zimmer owns every layer between his fingers and the speakers.